David Brewster here, the Brewster's Millions of Rants, and this is Reach For It. And this lesson's a continuation of some of the stretchy, lessons and material I put together recently, like the stretch guitar chords, the chords of Allan Holdsworth, and some of that material. But instead of focusing on chords, this lesson's going to focus on single notes and scale and arpeggio-based ideas. And it's really going to help shape and boost, your stretching ability or your reach, on the neck. And I've had lots of students over the years ask about this. How can I improve my stretch or reach? Or maybe they were working on a song that had a really stretchy chord or a lick in it somewhere. And this is very demanding. It's also very frustrating because you have to slowly develop and refine this over time. And then slowly the ability to stretch further, kind of develops and kind of appears. But you have to slowly, build this, almost like, building the ability with string bending or legato or sweeping or something like that. You have to chip away at this and slowly build, the ability. And just a heads up before we get started, but I have noticed in the comments section, some messages asking why the guitar is on my left leg. Well, I did study classical guitar, for a couple of years in high school and in college, and classical guitarists use their left leg mainly, it's a technical, a technique kind of boosting strategy. And I noticed, through editing, hours and hours of video on this channel, with the guitar on my right leg, I noticed this habit of having my thumb, creep around the fretboard, for bending and for Hendrix riffs and stuff like that. But then I noticed my thumb kind of creeping around at other times too, and it started to bug me. So the guitar on the left leg is mainly for me. I'm working on my technique. I'm also working on stretching, a little further. And I'm trying to kind of, I guess I'm trying to address this thumb issue by kind of keeping my, my thumb at the middle of the neck back here. So it's really just something I'm doing. It's for my benefit. I'm not trying to confuse or throw anybody, that's watching. And I do this from time to time. I have talked about this in another lesson, but I wanted to bring it up again. And one more thing, there are some stretches in this lesson where you might need to put the guitar on your left leg, which is going to help you kind of open up your hand a little bit more. Just something to think about. So anyway, here we go. Okay, to get started here, the first thing we're going to look at is actually a Schenker Lick. So leave it to me to start this lesson, talking about reaching on the fretboard, and I'm kicking it off with some Schenker. But it's something like this, based around E minor pentatonic. And if I do that one more time. And right there you can actually see we're playing out of E minor pentatonic right there. And we're grabbing that G, E, and D. But we're also stretching up and grabbing this A note, which is the fourth. And slowly I'm doing this. Something like that. So we're alternating between that G and that A, the minor third and the fourth, technically. And what I want you to do now is we're going to think of E minor pentatonic right there, but we're going to extend and grab notes, from the next position of E minor pentatonic, because there's the box. And then shape 2, you can think of it as shape 2 right there. And we're basically going to grab these notes that live on the top of that second shape right there, like this. And then go to the next set of strings and do this. Because there's, E minor pentatonic, and there's also the top part of E minor pentatonic right there. And then go down another set of strings and do it again. We're going to grab the 16th fret, that B note right there. And go down again. And right there we're grabbing that G note there on the 17th fret on the D. And then the last shape right there. Also grabbing, this D note on the A string and that G note there on the 15th fret on the low E. So we're really just connecting, the box with the next position of E minor pentatonic, and we're stretching, for those notes. So you can connect that whole thing. Okay, once you have the Schenker Lick under your belt and you started moving it across, and using different string groups, then here's a stretching exercise, and it's going to slowly and gradually, start challenging your stretching ability. So it starts like this. One more time. So right there, we're actually starting with F sharp minor. You can kind of think of F sharp minor pentatonic right there, and slowly we're doing. And then you're going to basically stretch your index finger down another fret, and then that's going to convert that and kind of imply F major, or F major 7. And then you're going to basically move your index finger down another fret, and then now you're kind of playing with an E sus4, because there's your E, E, B, and then the sus4 is that A note right there. And then you're going to basically move the 17 back to that G sharp there on the 16th fret, and then that's going to convert that to just E major. So one more time all the way through it a little slower. You know, something like that. Cool exercise, and it sounds cool. It sounds like a lick or something that you might play in a song. Here's another stretching exercise, and it's kind of the reverse of what we just did, where we started higher and slowly, started kind of moving down with the index finger. And this is going to be the reverse of that, where we're going to slowly start stretching your pinky up. And we're going to do this. Something like that. And then slowly we're doing this. And then you're basically going to move that G and D up a fret like this. And it kind of creates like this little, rhythmic pattern or motif right there. Right there, you want to stretch up another fret to the 17th fret there, and you're going to grab this A and E there on the 17th on the high E and B. And then once you get there, you can go back down if you want. The two previous exercises I just shared actually exposed the unison highway right here. And when we combine those two, minor pentatonic positions and really look at the highest and lowest notes, as you move across the strings, you'll discover what I've nicknamed the unison highway. So to make sure everybody is on the same page and starting, in the right place, here's an image with the definition of unison, just in case you don't know what that is. Like I said, right here is the unison highway. And if you look at what we just played, we're basically grabbing this A, grabbing E, and then we're grabbing E there on the B string. So there's your unison. And you're going to do the same thing on the B and the G. There's your E note down to B, and you're grabbing B there on the G string. So it just so happens, because the way the guitar is tuned, that happens to be on the 16th fret instead of the 17th fret. But you'll notice as you move down, it goes back to the 17th fret right there. All the way down. So there's an image with the fretboard diagram, just to kind of help you see that unison highway. Here's a unison highway lick, and I think I actually learned this from Steve Vai. I can't really remember where it came from, but it's like this. One more time. It has this weird, blurry, overlapping, kind of sound, but really slowly we're doing this. obnoxious, strange lick because you're hearing the same notes kind of overlap and blur into each other, when you play through that. Really cool lick though. Now as you explore that unison highway, I want you to notice, where it occurs right there. This 12 to 17 stretch. And we're grabbing that A note and then coming down and grabbing E, which is mirroring that E there on the 12th fret on the high E string right here. The same pitch, the same note. And if you're familiar with Joe Satriani's music, the song The Mystical Potato Head Groove Thing, which is from Flying in a Blue Dream, but in that song there's this really stretchy legato unison lick like this. One more time right there. And right there you can see we're literally grabbing A, G sharp, E, and E, and then we're just blurring and kind of stirring them all up together like this. Cool lick. And then you can take that idea and you can actually move it all the way down like this. And then right here, just make sure you're grabbing 16 right there, that B note on the G string. And then right there you can go back to the original shape, that 17, 16, 12 stretch. And you'll notice as you move down the fretboard like that, it's much harder to stretch on the lower strings compared to the higher strings. It just has to do with where your wrist and your hand are, positioned while you're playing down there. But that's really tough. Alright, here's another exercise, and now we're using arpeggios, and we're using what I've nicknamed collapsible arpeggio fingerings. And it's going to move between A minor to E major, something like this. So slower, we're basically starting with A minor right here. And that's kind of exposing, the collapsible nickname that I gave this, because it seems like it's fanned out and then it collapses and gets closer together and then fans out again, like that. And then you're going to shift to E major right there. And then just loop it over and over. And I just really like that lick. It sounds cool, it sounds different, the sequence and the way the notes are kind of, laid out. It really does have kind of a different flavor and sound to it. Cool idea, and it's also a great workout and exercise, for your fret hand. In this last section of the lesson, we're going to move beyond the unison, which, we kind of unlocked that with that 12 and 17 stretch right there. And then we're going to basically stretch another whole step higher, and now we're going to have this 12 to 19 stretch. So now we're, instead of grabbing the root note, we're actually grabbing the second right there, that F sharp. And that's much wider. And if you want to practice that stretch, you could actually just move all the way down the strings. It sounds weird, like some crazy, Buckethead lick or something. Really weird intervallic, wide intervallic idea. But once you kind of get used to this stretch, then there's a pretty famous series of stretches we're going to look at here. The first one is this 12, 15, and 19 stretch. And if you look at the notes that we're actually playing there on the high E string, there's E, G, and B. So that's basically E minor, like an E minor arpeggio. Right? But we're fully fretting that, right there. Instead of doing it like this, however you want to do it, we're doing it like that. And then you basically want to reach over here and grab that F sharp like this. Something like that. And then we can basically basically, you know, changed this to E major by changing that G to G sharp. And we're also kind of flirting with the opening phrase from Ice Cream Man, you know, from Van Halen. Technically, he was tuned down a half step. But there's, you know, E major right there if we change that G to G sharp. And I kind of like how you can kind of change, you know, from minor to major just by adjusting that one note. And then there's one more lick I'm going to add here, which is kind of using, you know, some of what we just looked at. And this actually came from Paul Gilbert. And this is a lick that appears in the song Roundabout by Yes. But it's not a guitar lick. It's actually a Rick Wakeman, you know, keyboard lick. And it's this sucker. That's crazy. And right there, we're basically reaching all the way up here and grabbing this B note on the high E and then rolling to that F sharp right there. It's basically a B minor, you know, arpeggio right there. So we're capturing that 12, 15, 19 stretch on the B string. You know, we're starting with the 19th on the high E, rolling to that F sharp on the B, coming down, and then we're also grabbing this F sharp there on the D string. So slowly, you know, really cool arpeggio, and it just sounds wicked. That's going to wrap this episode of Brewster's Millions of Rants with Reach For It, and there are hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of exercises, workouts, you know, warm-ups, and all these stretching, you know, things that really kind of challenge your technique and your ability. And, you know, you definitely want to go through this slowly, you know, because we're definitely not worried about speed or shredding. You know, we're worried about articulation and accuracy. You know, playing the notes correctly is far more important than playing them fast. So make sure, you know, as you work on this, you know, you don't want to hurt yourself. You want to go slow. You want to gradually start kind of pushing, you know, your stretching ability. And over time, it might take, you know, it might take a year of really focusing on this before you really start to see, you know, some big results. But you will see those results. It's just going to take time. You have to be consistent. You have to hit it, you know, maybe not every time you play guitar, but when you pick up your guitar, if you're working on stretching, you need to practice it a lot. You know, you spend a lot of time refining it and slowly develop the ability to kind of fan that hand out and get your fingers stretched. So anyway, leave some feedback and comments. Please subscribe to Night Lessons, and I'll be back before you know it with more content and material. Thank you.